Welcome everyone to the Josh Robinson Show. I am your host Josh, and usually I would say this is going to be a nice little 20-minute episode, but with the person I have on, that is not going to happen. We'll talk for quite a while. Bit of a reunion. We haven't talked in a hot minute because of just timing and Christmas and all of that kind of stuff. Yes, I know it's like the 20th of January at the time of this recording, but it's still that season of time. It's just, we're getting past the holiday break. The one and only is here, Mr. Dits. Dits on wrestling. How are you doing today? We haven't talked in a hot minute, so it's like nice to hear the sound of your voice, I guess.
My sultry tones.
Oh, damn, juicy.
Oh, yes. No, it's good. It's good. It's good to be. It's good to be on. I've been listening to this for like weeks and weeks and weeks. And I'm like, he's going to ask me at some point. He's going to ask me.
And then I did ask you, and then we just couldn't match the times up because every time that I was available, you weren't, or the opposite way around. We're busy men, I guess you could say, kind of.
Yeah, and the ridiculous time zone doesn't help because you've got a weird time zone. Like you've got,
I'm in the half,
not only have you got like you've got like plus hour, half. That's makes Adelaide no sense.
For you. Adelaide is a hole. Did you know Adelaide's the meth capital of the world? There's a fun fact for everybody. I'm not even actually kidding. It's the meth capital of the world. That's my city. Adelaide proud. Hey, I have the NXT Women's Champion though, so meth NXT Women's Champion. It all balances out.
I have Omega Luke.
You win. What a dreamboat. What a dreamboat. Can't wait for the day he releases that OnlyFans account. I haven't talked to... Let's talk about Luke for 1 second. Isn't it just great seeing Luke just absolutely fucking crush it everywhere and just doing his shit with his football manager? I'm like, hell yeah, Luke.
Yeah, like I saw his like. Obviously, I've been following like his Omega Luke gaming thing for like as soon as it started because like I saw him post out. Of course, I'm going to follow it. And then literally in like the last... Well, since he got associated with FM Scout, it's literally just gone. Brrr. I mean, obviously, people got to see the visual of my hand. Like, but brrr. It's just the rise has been pretty fucking spectacular. Like, really hats off to the guy.
It's cool to see it because like it's just like, hey, that was that dude I was talking to about wrestling this time last year, or a little bit, give or take. And now he's just like. All these subscribers and he's doing these live streams, he's getting all these people in. I'm like, you go girl, you do what you do, I just love seeing him. He pops up in my Twitter feed and I'm like, yes, Luke, you do you. And I'm just happy to see him doing something that he likes to do. It's good to see that with people on Twitter, I guess. Whoever it is, you're just like, yeah, that's good to see. And you've been doing your own little stuff as well. You had your little break for Christmas. For anyone that hasn't listened to your show since it come back, I don't know why they wouldn't, because it's great. But subtle little cheap plug for your show there. That's on the house. The other ones will cost you. So for anyone that hasn't been, you had a little break and I guess you just took some R&R. Would that be the best way to describe you needed a little setback? Yeah,
I think it gets to a point where I think every podcaster does it. You'll hit that wall. I've hit 3 to that point, and that was there was the great fucking wall of China. This one, I was just, it was like, do I carry this on? Like I'm enjoying it, but not as much as I did when I first started. And I think the pressure of trying to keep up with every single show throughout the week, because I was just purely highlights based, and then I would dot segments like around it to bulk the show out a little bit. I was just feeling, I went from full highlights to then top 3 highlights, and I was just like, nah, this is getting silly, because it was WWE, AEW, pay-per-views, whatever it was, and I was just like, I just cannot be arsed going through this anymore. I'm feeling the pressure every single week to watch all of these shows, and then if I'm sat in front of the microphone and I've missed a show, like I stress that I'm like, I haven't watched SmackDown, so I've got less content, now I have to fill it out some other way. It just got to a point where I was just like, nah, I'm taking a break. I'm going away. And same with Twitter as well. It was just, Twitter is just, I mean, it's still the case now, but it was toxic as hell. And I was like, I can't be arsed with that either. So it was just like, I'll get away from all that. I'll focus on stuff that's more important. So obviously family around the holidays. And I'll come back to it at some point. I expected to take a longer break, but I came back last week. So Woohoo!
Yay, Dits is back. I was like,
Woohoo!
I've hit that wall before. I've hit it a couple times. Just like trying to keep up is one thing, and then like trying to keep your own mind fairly creative and fresh is another thing, because you're just like, I want to do something that's fun, but also not something someone else is doing. Or if I'm going to do something someone else is doing, I better make sure I'm really good at it. Otherwise, it just, I mean, there's a lot of podcasts in general, not just wrestling podcasts. There's just a lot of podcasts in general. So you're like, oh man, like someone's always, if there's an idea in your head, it's usually the case that someone's doing it. That's how I kind of think anyway, for the most part. There's a few little things that you're like, this is completely 100% original, but everything's a version of someone's idea somewhere along the line, even if you don't really know it. Someone's got an idea that you've had. That's, if it manifests in my brain, that's how I think anyway. So it's hard to keep yourself feeling just, and honestly, if you're not really like fully enjoying it, that's what I always said. If I'm not really fully enjoying this, that's when I'm going to stop, because I'm really only doing this for me, in a sense of just, it's really just killing a little bit of time. And I mean, I'm probably a little bit different. I put a lot of stock into this, because I genuinely think this could be something bigger. But then some people don't think like that. Some people do. I don't know. But that's just my mentality of it. That's just a personal thing. But you just got to keep having fun with it all, because if you're not, then it's just not worth it. But speaking of having fun, something that we've chatted many, many times, and something we always bring up, I've noticed in these conversations at some point, even if it's just for a little chunk of time, is video games. We always like just pipe it in here and there and stuff like that. I know that you know that I'm a lover of video games. It's what I do in all my spare time. And I know that you love video games, because, I mean, honestly, in this day and age, who fucking doesn't? They're great. They're just a good way to like immerse yourself in a different world. But when we were talking about like a topic to talk about for this show, as we've talked about wrestling that many freaking times, like it's just like, we know how our brains operate when it comes to wrestling, and that's not a complaint. We just talk. We live in the world of wrestling. And I was like, let's talk about video games. We'll talk about wrestling video games, I'm sure, at some point, because they're a part of our life in some way, shape, or form. But video games to you, as let's rewind the clock to a little Dits. How is little Dits how did you find video games? Were they just always in your life? Did you get them as you were older? What was kind of the first memories you have of playing video games?
So everything was a hand-me-down. So like my granddad used to play the Sega Saturn. He had a Sega Saturn in his house. I don't know what my dad played before the Sega Saturn. The Sega Saturn was like the earliest one that I remember. And I just remember playing like Sonic on there and Rayman and just stuff like that. And I just remember, this is fucking amazing. I can't actually put my finger on like the first game I played. It was a keyboard game. It was on like a PC, because my dad had this little cupboard under the stairs, and he used to go in there, play his stuff, because he had two computers in there, one for him, and then I don't know what the other one was for, but I stole it. I made it my own. As a young 5-year-old, that was mine. It might have even been younger. But the moment I started playing it, that was it. I was invested, and nothing was off limits. Like I don't. Do you ever hear the game? I think it's Road Rash or Road Rage.
Yeah.
You're basically on bikes and you kick the fuck out of each other on the bikes.
It was like GTA just on bikes before GTA was GTA.
Essentially, yeah, it was violent, and I was 5 playing that game. So yeah, nothing was on limits. I watched RoboCop when I was at that same age. Like, my parents didn't give a shit.
Yeah, neither did mine. I was allowed to do whatever I wanted. They were just like, as long as he's quiet, I don't give a shit. That was my parents' mentality, and I've turned out semi-okay, so I think I'm doing all right. So you were a Sega kid, so you were a Sonic kind of kid, were you? More so than, well, Mario probably a little bit later, but you were a Sonic kid?
Initially, yeah, Sonic was always the way, because anytime Sonic came out, I was like, I was there, I was in it, I was playing it.
Yeah.
But then everything changed when the behemoth of Sony entered the market with the PlayStation 1, and then that just, that was it. The PS1 was like my first console. Like the Sega Saturn was my granddad's, but the PS1 was my first console.
Everything that I had was from my older brother. He's 7 years older than me, so he was a lot, getting into this stuff a lot before I did. So he had the first console that I remember, I know that we probably had a Sega at some point, But the first console I remember is a PS1. We were PlayStation kids all in all through. Nintendo 64, while I love it to bits, I didn't get until I was older because when I got into video games and stuff like that, I was like, And my cousins had it. So if we went and visited my cousins, they would have a 64, and that's when I got into like, Mario Kart, all the Mario games and stuff like that. That's when I became a fan of that. But we didn't own it. So PlayStation 1 was like everything, especially as like a young kid. The first game I ever remember playing, coincidentally enough, was WWF War Zone. It is the first game that I can remember playing. To this day, I still don't know how to fucking play it. It's really freaking hard. It's all combos, and I'm like, I have no idea what I just press buttons and hope for the best. But that is the first game I remember playing on PlayStation 1. That and like, names are going to slip away from me. I obviously Crash Bandicoot was a big thing.
Yes.
Do you remember Crash Bash?
I do remember Crash Bash. I loved Crash Bash.
Crash Bash was my shit. I used to play that hours on end. Again, my parents.
If they're remastering everything, bring that back.
I mean, Crash Team Racing, fantastic game. I bought that. I was like, hell yeah. All like the first 3, I think they remade for PS4. I played them, but Crash Bash was my game. Crash Bash is like, I wish we had some kind of hours trackers for the amount of hours I spent on that game because, oh man, I guess Crash Bash, for anybody that doesn't know, I guess it's probably the PlayStation equivalent of Mario Party in a sense.
Yeah.
For anyone that doesn't know what it is, if anyone's listening to this that's too young to know what Crash Bash is, oh man, because it probably would have came out in 99, 2000, probably.
Yeah, easily. Yeah, I'd say so. Maybe
like 20 years old. Yikes. But that was like Crash Bandicoot was. I just remember Crash being a part of my childhood a lot. When you got the remasters did you get the remasters of Crash Team Racing and the original 3? Did you buy both?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
Do you remember them being that hard? Not so much Crash Team Racing, but the like the story games. They were hard.
I remember Crash Bandicoot 1 and 2 being ridiculous when I was younger because I couldn't play them. Number 3, not so much. Because I think obviously I was older when 3 came out, so I think I had a better grasp. But 1 and 2, like I probably got about like a fifth of the way through. Like 7, 8-year-old Dits got about that far through, but then playing that remaster, like I remember sat just playing. Oh, I think it's called like High Roads or High Ropes or something like that. That fucking bridge, trying to cross that damn thing in the fog. Oh, rage quits.
I always
quits
have
everywhere.
Real trouble with the ones where you're riding on something like the I can't think of names.
Oh, the polar bear.
Yeah, when you're
or the penguin or whatever.
You're like running so fast, and there's like boulders and shit coming everywhere, and you're like, fuck me. The amount of times that I would fall off that stupid thing and then have to start all the way from the start. Because it was like harder when you did those ones because there wasn't as many checkpoints. So you're like, fuck. You just go crazy. Like, I don't remember them being as difficult as a child as they were when as I played these remasters. But it probably just because I can't remember properly. But my God, like the amount of hours I spent just on the remaster alone being like, I cannot get past this level. And I'm in my 20s. What is going on? Like, if I could do this when I was like 7, why can I not do this now? And also, when I was 7, was I getting as angry as I was playing these remasters? But how do you feel about remasters in general? Because I like them, but also, are we just in the time of, I guess this is across the board, but we're just not having original ideas anymore?
I think originally when remasters started coming out, I mean, it wasn't really a fad. I'm trying to think what the first big remaster was. I can't put my finger on it, but whatever it was, maybe 3-4 years ago, I remember going to why? And again, like you said, it's across the board. Like, just come up with original ideas. It doesn't take much.
Movies, television, it's everything. It's just like...
Yeah. And then I got Spyro, the remastered collection of that. And I just a complete graphical overhaul of the whole thing. The gameplay was exactly the same, but the fact that it was so different. It wasn't just like a HD remaster. Like, they built the thing like from all the way from the bottom all the way back up again. Like, just complete new engine. Looked great. And same with Crash.
Yeah.
And both 1, 2, and 3 and Crash Team Racing. But then I think the one for me that's kind of changed my mind a little bit on the gaming side of things anyway is Resident Evil 2, because I loved that game when I was a kid. I was shit at it, but I loved that game. And when it was announced it was coming out, I was like, are we going back to like tank control Resident Evil, where like it's just absolutely, it takes you about half an hour just to do a 180? It was ridiculous. And I thought, are we going back to that? And then they revealed it to be, no, it's going to be over the shoulder, a la Resident Evil 4 and 5 and 6. I was just like, holy shit, this is going to be amazing. And then the gameplay footage came out, and it was essentially a brand new game. So I hadn't played Resident Evil 2 for 15 years, something like that, maybe even more. And then to come back to it with this whole, like, with loads of stuff that's familiar, but with a different perspective. Like, it was fresh, it felt great. And if you're going to do remasters or remakes like that, I'm all for it. Like Resident Evil 3, when that drops in a couple of months' time, I'm having it. Day one, give it to me. But I'm trying to think what, like Resident Evil there, the actual original Resident Evil, when they did the 2 HD remasters, I think they did one on the GameCube, and then they did another one for the Xbox. That was kind of, we don't need all of that.
It's unnecessary.
Yeah, so for every one of those that you get like a Resident Evil 2 or a Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, which we got on the GameCube, which was great. It's hot and cold, but if Resident Evil 2 is setting that standard now for what can be done, especially older games, give it to me. Bring it to me.
Yeah, it's I think that's the way we're going. I definitely don't think, if I know anything about the world, is that it's always progressing towards something else. So I feel like now that they've tapped into this with a few things like Crash and Resident Evil and so on and so forth, it's only just going to keep going. It's certainly not going to scale back in the amount they do, because I feel like listen, we say this like, okay, like some remasters are great, but we're going to buy them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're going to be the idiots that go out there and be like, yeah, I'm going to buy this. Even though I played it 15 years ago, but I want it new and fancy, so I'm going to buy it. So I guess if they're making money, why would you really stop? I guess. Which is...
I think a really good example of that, and I can actually, like, when I think about it now, I can't believe I did it. GTA 5, and I'm sure we're going to come on to GTA at some point during this chat. GTA 5, Xbox 360, I played it, completed it, loved it, had all the achievements. Fucking fantastic game. Spent 50 quid on it. 1 year later, I have an Xbox One. They remaster it. They add new stuff. Xbox One, GTA 5. I was like, okay, can I justify paying another 50 quid, 60 quid on this game?
Absolutely.
And day one, I did.
Me too.
Absolutely ridiculous.
You're preaching to the choir. I did exactly the same thing. I started that
on GTA
story
5.
mode again on PS. I had it on I had an Xbox 360. So here's my timeline. I was PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 for a hot minute, and then I was like, wait a minute, all my friends have an Xbox 360, so I'm going to switch to Xbox. Then I bought an Xbox One, had it for a month, sold it, and bought a PS4. Ooh, that's how I went. So I guess I betrayed my PlayStation blood for a generation and a bit, and then went back to PlayStation, and then, I don't know, we'll talk about the new next generation of consoles in a second, but...
yeah, I kind of went the other way, because I went, well, obviously Sega Saturn was the first one, but then PS1, PS2, of course, and then that generation I had everything. So I had PS2, GameCube, Xbox, the OG brick of an Xbox with the Duke controller. Jesus Christ, that's going back.
Yeah, cousins had an Xbox, and I was like, because going from a PlayStation 2, and you're like, oh, this is nice and sleek, and I had the slim PlayStation 2, or I had a big PlayStation 2, then I had a slim one, but then going to those original Xboxes, I'm like, Jesus, this is some heavy shit. Like, it was heavy.
It was a beast. It was a beast of a console. But then, yeah, that generation I had every console, and then it was 360 after that, then Xbox One, then Xbox One X, and then ultimately it's going to be Xbox Series X, Series,
whatever
Xbox,
the fuck it's called.
Whatever the fuck it is. So I'm purely Xbox now. So
they're all the same now anyway. Like, it's fun to bicker, but really, since the 360 and a PS3, they've essentially been the same. They bring out pretty much across the board the same game. pretty much. There's a few little exclusives here and there, but pretty much for the most part, it's same graphics are near the same. I guess there's a few slight differences and some features and stuff like that, but they are essentially the same thing. Which I don't know how I miss. Well, PlayStation 2 is really where I got into. Like, as I'm aging, I'm like starting to understand life. PlayStation 2 was like my prime in playing just video games non-stop.
Yeah.
I mean, and I just miss the days of like PS2 having games, Xbox having games, and there was actual difference between the two, and further back as well. But it's not really like that anymore. They're all kind of the same. But
because that was, I mean, that era where I had every console. Like I had the PS2 for GTA because GTA was exclusive to Sony at that time, I believe. Yep. And then GameCube I had for Mario and Super Smash Bros. And all them kind of games. And then the Xbox I had for Halo, Splinter Cell. Like, I had every base covered. Whereas now, obviously, I mean, it goes without saying PS4 or PlayStation as a brand has the better console exclusives, and it has been that way for many years. Like Xbox have really dropped the ball with that, but that's starting to get better. But apart from like the odd few, like off the top of my head, Spider-Man is a game that I loved. I played that whilst I was away at sea last year. Absolutely loved it. And if I, obviously, if I was purely Xbox and didn't have that opportunity to play it, I would never play it. Yeah. And that's one of my favorite games I've ever played.
Yeah.
And same with, I think there's a couple of horror games and like, I think it's Detroit Become Human or something like that.
Yeah.
Games in that vein, like Heavy Rain, stuff like that, and Uncharted, Last of Us. I miss out on all of that.
Oh yeah, you still get Last of Us. I just realized that. That's a fantastic game, and that comes out. Yes. That new one comes out soon. I'll be Snapchatting you, not you, bitch.
But stuff like that, it's disappointing. But then you've got so many other games that are just like, well, that's on PS4. Oh, but it happens to be on Xbox as well. Fantastic. Boom, move that across.
There's really, other than that, though, there's no real reason to have both anymore. You're talking about when you had like a GameCube and a PS2 and an Xbox. Like, there was a reason to have those because, I mean, there was different games. They were all ran different. They all looked different. They all played different. Let's talk about PlayStation 2 and Xbox and GameCube, that era for a second. Because so many memories from a PlayStation 2 just... I mean, the first thing that comes to my brain is, of course, Grand Theft Auto, Vice City, San Andreas, the two best. Well, GTA 5 is in there as well, but just from a pure nostalgia standpoint, San Andreas and Vice City are just chef kisses. They're just wonderful games. Especially San Andreas, that is looked upon as like just one of the great games of that era of PlayStation 2 times. First and foremost, before we talk about the actual gameplay itself of those two games, the soundtrack of those two games is something that I just genuinely could get a large erection over probably now, even not even listening to it. But the first thing you do when you load up Vice City and you get through those first cutscenes is hear Michael Jackson. You know what I mean? Like, you just get into the car, Flash FM is on, and you're like, the 80s. Because I love 80s music, especially as growing up. I fell in love with like that era of time. I wish I was alive in the 80s, just so I could like listen to a lot of new wave music. So like, and that just, I wish they would remake Vice City or like GTA 6 whenever that fucking comes out. I hope it's in the vein of Vice City somewhere, because just that like Miami feel to everything is just something that hasn't been explored since Vice City, and I'd just like to see it. But soundtracks of those two games, I mean, San Andreas soundtrack is my favorite soundtrack maybe ever in a game. Just because it's is that a hot take? I'm not sure. Is that?
No, I love the San Andreas not a hot take. Soundtrack is brilliant.
How do you feel about the soundtracks of those two games? Do you echo what I'm saying?
The weird thing is, like, I mean, the fact that, and you've just done it right now, you focused on the soundtrack first over everything else, and that's the case. If anyone brings up Grand Theft Auto to me, I always go, so Grand Theft Auto, Vice City, V-Rock. I used to listen to V-Rock all the time. Absolutely love the music in that game. And same with San Andreas, like, Radio X. I happen to listen to that all the time.
K-Dust. K-Dust was my shit.
Fucking K-Dust.
K-Dust was the shit, because it had, We went through the desert on a horse with no name.
Oh, it had 2 Tickets to Paradise as well. Did it have that?
2 Tickets to Paradise.
Yeah.
I love the 90s is a great time as well. And you just go into all the towns in San Andreas, like Dillymore, and that's where you could get the 2-player experience, where you could have 2 people and you would ride around, and then you could like get close enough and you could kiss. Like, I just remember doing that all the time. I used to play on my own sometimes with 2 controllers. I would run and then get the other control, and I would run, and then they would kiss. 10-year-old me was quaking. I loved it. But yeah, the soundtrack is something that I just think of first. That's the first thing. But I mean, the gameplay. So, to this day, I've never completed San Andreas. Never finished it. Don't know what happens at the end. No spoilers for a game that came out in 2003.
I don't know if I ever did as well. I think I got pretty far in it. I know that much, to a point where like there was a big reveal, and obviously if you're not finished it, I won't tell you what it is. But like I will actually find out soon, because I actually realized when I was going on like on the, I don't know if it's the same with the PS4, but on the Xbox like home screen or My Games and Apps, you get like a ready to install tab. So every game that you've ever like played, downloaded, whatever, bought. And I noticed Grand Theft Auto San Andreas sitting in there so proudly, and I was like,
I bought it, I think.
When the fuck did I buy that?
I think I bought it because there's like a PS2 on PS4 section within the PlayStation Store, and they're like $10, and you can buy PS2 games. And I bought like Vice City and San Andreas and a heap of different games. And still to this day, even though I have it on my PS4, I can just load it up whenever I want. Still have not finished it. I'm on my PS4 version. I'm in the second city, San Fierro, or whatever it's called. And I am there. I don't think in my whole time that I ever played San Andreas, with the only times that I ever got into Los Venturas was through cheats. The old jetpack code, so you get all the bridges unlocked, and then you'd put on the no cops cheat, so you couldn't get any cops on you, and then you would flying cars. I used to always put on flying cars, and then sail on away to Los Venturas, go to the strip, if you will, and then I'd play all that, and then put on the heaps of cheats. I still, if I sat down with my PS2 controller, I would remember the weapons and 250,000 cash cheat. Because I looked at that thing so many times. Remember the days of having to go on your computer, and you have to load it up, and then get all these cheats, and you have to put in the button codes, and then you can have all different kinds of cheats, like float on water, or infinite armor, or whatever. Max sex appeal. I do that a lot. That was a good cheat. But San Andreas, I mean Vice City as well. But I have more vivid memories of San Andreas, because I would just spend hours just honestly not doing anything, just driving and listening to music. That was like my shit to do on San Andreas. Grand Theft Auto was a huge part of my childhood. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because I mean, it's definitely that game, by the way, guys. If you're a child listening to this, you really shouldn't be playing it. Like, it's not great. There's a lot of prostitution and drugs and killing that you probably shouldn't be playing as an 8 or 9-year-old. But I mean, I certainly did, and I had a ball.
I remember, I honestly can't remember how old I was, but maybe 10 when GTA 3 came out. Man. I went to, because my parents were separated, so I went to see my dad's new place for the very first time. And the whole way up, he was telling me how he had a PS2. Now, this was the first time I was ever playing PS2. I was like, so excited. And I went in, and the first game that I put on was GTA 3. And I was sat there as a 10-year-old, 8 years off when I should have been playing it, and having a whale of a time. And people forget about GTA 3 as well, because GTA 3 is fantastic.
I don't think I ever played it. Even to this day.
So good.
I don't think I've ever played GTA 3.
I would if it's available on the PlayStation Store, I would highly recommend
I think it is.
Going back.
I think it's like $10. I could
because even that's got a good soundtrack. It's essentially Scarface, the soundtrack. Yeah. But it's such a good game, good little story. It's going from bird's eye view GTA.
Oh yeah,
which,
I played
by
those.
the way, is also great. To then that was, I mean, you got to. Yeah, it's arguably like the biggest, like bombshell, biggest groundbreaking thing to happen in video games ever.
I mean, a lot of video games use that same model now of that 3D. Well, all video games use that 3D model now. There's no such thing as anything else, but Open world games are probably my favorite style of game, just because it's just so vast with what you can do. We'll get back to PS2 stuff in a minute. We'll stick on the world of the world of open world games. That's a weird sentence. I could have said that way differently than I did, but I didn't. After GTA San Andreas, and there was a few little like GTA, like the Vice City stories, and there was Liberty City stories, but they were nothing. Did you ever own, weird question, portable gaming? PSPs? Did you ever get into portable gamings?
I had a PSP for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think I had mine for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, I was in phase 2 training, and somebody I was sharing a mess with 6-7 other guys, and somebody had a PSP, and I had to go on it. I was like, it's okay. I think he had Liberty City Stories, and I was playing that. I was like, this is bizarre. I'm playing GTA on a handheld. This is pretty cool.
I think it was a novelty, wasn't it? It was like the novelty of it was like, this was cool, but it wasn't actually that great.
Yeah, and he said 50 quid and it's yours. I was like, okay, but it wasn't completely 100% like working. Like I think one of the sticks was a little bit off, but it was off to the point where it was annoying, and I didn't realize how annoying it was until I bought it and was playing with it. So I bought like other games that I knew wouldn't really utilize the stick. So remember Timberland? The guy who was like responsible for so many classic hits like back in the day.
Timberland was lit.
He released a like beat making game or music making game, and I bought that shit.
Get out of here. He did not.
Yeah.
That's the most 2006 thing you've ever said to me in your life. My God.
It was awesome. Like I used to sit and just make really shit songs every single night. I was like, yeah, and I'd be like the guy next to me in the fucking bed next to me. I listen to this song. I'll fucking amazing. He'd be like, are you really spending your night doing that shit? I was like, yeah, I am actually.
Doesn't utilize like 3 weeks in for your information, bitch.
It doesn't utilize. You don't see me running around in circles because of a shit stick. Yeah, so I played it for 3 weeks, and then it was just like, I'm running out of games to play that don't utilize the stick. So I sold it face value for what I paid for it to some idiot that was who had decided the Navy wasn't for him. So on his way out the door, I saw him off, gave him the PSP, and I made sure he played the game that didn't utilize the stick. So I don't know what happened after that. I haven't spoken to him since, but he probably went home and went, Dits, you're a fucking dick.
Yeah, PSPs and portable gaming was never really my thing. I never had a DS. I played them. I had a Game Boy Color as a kid.
Yeah. For Pokemon.
I had Pokemon Red, and my brother had Pokemon Blue. I don't really remember too much because I was a small child. But I never really was a portable gaming mark, I guess you would say, if you want to go that route. But open world gaming's like when we got like the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360. I mean, GTA 4. That is a game that has mixed opinions. I've talked to many people about GTA 4. Some people like die over it and love it, and other people really don't like it. At the time, it was a very different game from what we previously had, I guess, with San Andreas. There was a few years between that, probably a good 4 or 5 years. It was the first of its kind on this new system, this next generation of gaming consoles. GTA 4, what's your opinion on it overall?
I mean, I haven't played it for a long time, but I never had any negative opinion, not even one, like just going off memory. Like I really enjoyed it. I've played it from start to finish, and
yeah, me too.
I remember coming away from it going, that's a pretty fucking good game.
Yeah.
And I put it up there gameplay wise with some of the best games that I was playing at the time. So I would have given it easily like 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
Out of 10. And I've seen people complaining more about the tone rather than anything else.
Yeah.
And I didn't really see an issue.
I didn't either. I like the DLC more than I like the actual main story, like the Ballad of Gay Tony and the biking one. The Ballad of Gay Tony
Lost and the Damned.
That. The Ballad of Gay Tony though was fantastic. Like I loved that because there was a lot of like nightclub based things, and I guess there was some things coming out of it, especially now that we have GTA 5, that I knew that they would have to change just because some of the gameplay things were a bit like driving in that game. Driving around in that game now is difficult. Driving in that game was hard. It was less racing game, more I don't know, I guess they kind of give it more of like a real life feel. But coming from GTA 4 to GTA 5, I feel like we've gone back to more of like a weird mix of like you can play this like a racing game, but also trying to adapt real life situations into it. It's weird. But that would be the only real complaint I have. And just, I guess, coming from San Andreas, there was so much to do in San Andreas, and then going into GTA 4, I feel like they took some of that element of fun out of it. I still really enjoyed GTA 4. I thought the story was really freaking good, especially the Ballad of Gay Tony. I thought that story was just really, really, really good. But just a few little things, and let's be honest, Roman was annoying. He always asked me to go bowling.
Let's go and play bowling.
Like, no, I don't want to. Go away from me.
Shut up.
Always call you, and you're like, oh, go away, Roman. But
you just have like a horrific mission where like you just killed someone like flat out in front of him or something like that, something ridiculous. And then like 2 seconds later, hey, cousin, you want to go bowling? Like, you want to go do this?
Now's not the time. The soundtrack in GTA 4 though was a little meh.
I don't remember it. And that's the thing. If you asked me to name a single song in GTA 4, I couldn't do it.
I can name one.
I can barely even name that many in GTA 5, let alone 4.
Really? GTA 5 has a great soundtrack.
Yeah, it has some bangers in there, but GTA, I think they've got worse, like the soundtracks to GTA as time's gone on. And I don't understand why.
Me either. They have so much money. They could just pay anyone to be like, I want this in the game. They'll be like, yeah, okay, give me your money for rights. GTA 4 to GTA 5 was a fair big leap. But GTA 5, when it originally came out, like you said, it was on last generation consoles, Xbox 360, PS3. It was at the end of that cycle of generation. I guess it was like the last big game to come out on those consoles. But, I mean, that game from start to finish... I have finished this one. It's very, 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 very good.
Yes.
Initially, when I seen that you're going to be 3 different... Because Rockstar games, they're very, like, secretive, I guess would be the word, with details on games. They're almost always delayed for good reason, because when you get GTA, they're polished. There's bugs, of course, but there's not, like, game-breaking things happening every 2 seconds like another game that I recently got. But they're delayed for good reason, but they don't really... It's not like they're pumping out information every 5 minutes about this game. Like, you get a trailer, you wait another year, you get another trailer, and then every few months you get a trailer about online, or you get a trailer about a certain feature. Like, there isn't really too much they really throw at you to be like... I think they're just... With GTA, you can kind of rely on the fact that you're Grand Theft Auto. You know that you're going to get a good game, so you don't really have to, like, I guess, sell people on it. But how did you feel initially when you see that you could be 3 different people?
I loved it because when they revealed that, I think at the exact same time they kind of... I can't remember if they showcased like one of the missions where you utilize all 3 of them. And the moment I heard, 1 minute you're going to be this guy, but then you can approach it from a different perspective. From a distance, you got one of them being a sniper, looking in and taking out the guys that are causing him havoc in there. And I was just like, that's just cool as shit.
Yeah, really.
I was like, I don't know how they're going to handle it like outside of those missions, but like, I don't know if many people did actually turn around and go, you know, this isn't for me, but I loved it. I thought it was a great idea. Whether
me too.
Maybe it's just a one game and that's it deal, because I don't know where you can go from that to 6. I mean, I'd be happy to go back to like a single protagonist. I'd be happy to do that again.
Me too.
But if they decide to go the multi-character route again, I'm happy with that as well. I enjoyed it.
Me too. GTA 5 was a lot of fun. I mean, so much to do, very open, and when it eventually moved to our current generation of consoles, like we said earlier, we both were day one. We got that shit. I scooped it up because, hello, I want to play in first-person mode.
Yeah.
I mean, plain and simple. I want to see what it's like to really, you know, shoot someone. Something that sounds sick. My God, I'm going to jail.
Disgusting.
But, yeah, I know. Speaking of that, not going to jail. Well, kind of. How do you if you could simply put a small little thought into the people that say GTA is causing crimes in the world, or video games in general, what's your take on that? Do you agree? Which I don't think you will, but what's just your opinion on that?
I would say shut up and go and play Manhunt. Because I'll put it this way: like there was a big case here in the UK where some kid was found playing Manhunt and he got some kind of like meat hook and killed his friend, so something like that. And they said, "Oh, it's because he was playing Manhunt." But well, I think as time went on, they kind of looked even deeper into it and just went, "No, the guy was just batshit crazy. It had nothing to do with the video game." And I played Manhunt when it first came out, and I must have been 13, maybe 14, and that's a violent game. Like,
yeah, it doesn't sell in Australia. We have
yeah, you guys can't get it. Yeah,
we have the worst video game laws in the world. Trust me, it's bad. But we can't even. If I even wanted to even think about buying that game, I cannot.
But I remember being at that age and playing. Obviously, I've been exposed to a lot of violence in video games, movies,
yeah, me too.
Whatever medium there is out there. I've been exposed to it, so it didn't really faze me. But like, I'd be finding like stuff really cool. Like they've got like green kills, you got amber kills, and you got red kills. I remember never knowing that red kills existed, but as soon as I did, like, I was doing these red kills. I was like, these are fucking cool as shit. Like, you're choking this guy, and then you kind of, I'll go, oh, that's a bit boring. But then you take a step back with a metal bat, boom, head comes off, explodes. I was like, that is cool as shit. However, I didn't go out into the garage and pick up a hammer or a bat or a fucking chainsaw and go out on the street and go, I'm going to replicate what I just saw in a video game.
Yeah.
Like, ridiculous.
That's how I feel. It's just like, they don't even cross paths to me. In any sense. I'm just like, nope. It's just like going and watching a movie. It's just like listening to a song, if some people want to go that far, but I just don't see any connection to it, so I'll leave that at that. One more, last little thing about GTA is there's so many things that come out and like allegedly leak about GTA, but I don't think everything will ever be like, they keep things so tight and so close to them that people just try to create something out of nothing. But something that's been talked about for a long time in GTA, I think going into GTA 5, they're like, will it happen? Now going into GTA 6, they're even more, will it happen? In any state in GTA, do you think we'll get a female protagonist?
I think if they're gonna pull the trigger on it, now is the time to do it.
I agree.
But
why don't you think we have?
I don't think it's a sexist thing, or they're kind of like doing it to piss people off. Like, I just think the stories that they're trying to tell are more geared to having a male character as the lead, and I know there's the complaints that, oh, well, if you're going to have like male protagonists, then you need to have like a strong female, within that story, within the game, and they're non-existent. They're either portrayed as, idiots or, sex objects or, whatever.
Yep.
But, I think they're every game, like, you look at all the stories throughout like GTA, like every single story pretty much is a home run. Maybe the exception of 4, before the DLC came in, because it was still good, but story-wise, not so much.
Yeah.
But they were still trying to tell a story, and those stories wouldn't work if you didn't have Nico, if you didn't have CJ, if you didn't have Michael, Trevor, and Franklin. Like, if you didn't have those guys, you wouldn't be able to tell that story. The story would be very different. But I think it would. I think it could work if you put a female protagonist in. I think it could work, and I'd be curious to see how they play it. But in your head, I don't know. I just don't know where they would go for it, because
it's interesting.
GTA, you're picking up prostitutes and stuff in GTA. Like, would a female protagonist do that? Would they go, well, guys do it?
Unless they went with the route of this game of having 3 protagonists and one of them was a female. I I don't think it's well, for me at least, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I have no issue with it at all. If there was a female protagonist, I'd be like, yeah, cool. I'm still going to play the game exactly the same. I've played many games where the lead protagonist was a female, and I have no issue with that. That's not the case at all here. And there's no difference if it was GTA. I just think with just the reason they haven't done it is because I think while it will gather a lot of like, yay, they're finally doing a female protagonist, I think it will gain a lot of backlash from a lot of people being like, you're putting women in this role. And I think it will be more so from like the real feminist kind of people that were being like, this is wrong because this game is violent and disgusting. And I just think that's how the world, it's going to be, no matter whether they do or they don't, they're going to get pros and cons for it from all different kinds of people. There's a lot of eyes on GTA in this day and age. And don't worry, those controversies will keep on coming out as soon as they bring out this next game. It's just going to happen. But off the vein of GTA, back to like PlayStation 2 and stuff, well, a little bit on the vein of GTA, Simpsons Hit and Run is something that a lot of people want a remaster of in this day and age. Did you ever play Simpsons? Okay.
Yes,
don't need to ask that
absolutely.
question. I mean, it was the ultimate GTA experience without the violence and with The Simpsons. I mean, really, at that age, I couldn't ask for anything more, because if I wasn't really playing video games or watching wrestling, more than likely I'd be watching The Simpsons. Because The Simpsons, I think The Simpsons was a part of everybody's childhood, was it not? I think it's just common staple. But The Simpsons Hit and Run. I mean, I owned a lot of Simpsons games. If you remember, like, the PlayStation 1, there was a thing called The Simpsons Wrestling. It was fucking terrible. But it was great. It was so great. And I spent many hours. Then, like, Road Rage on PS2. I had Road Rage. It was like a taxi service game for anyone that doesn't know. I guess it was on the vein of, like, Crazy Taxi, I guess.
Yeah, I had that as well. Great game. Loved it.
Great game. And then The Simpsons Hit and Run came out. And I was like, man, they hit a home run with this. A homer run. With this one. That's the worst. End of podcast here. That was, like, just such a great game, and every level was somewhat different. My personal favorite was my Simpsons character, Marge. I love Marge. I think Marge is a fantastic Simpsons character, especially when you drive around in her Canyonero and her hair would stick out the top. It was fucking
Canyonero.
Oh, yeah. And get out of my way, nature. I'm not doing a Marge impression because no one can do Marge. But yeah, that game. Just the memories I have. I still have a PS2, and I still put that game on from time to time, and I'm like, this game is so fun.
Oh, jealous.
I love
so jealous.
That game is so fun. Do you have a lot of fond memories of that game then?
The thing is a weird one, because there's if somebody asked me to pick out like moments from that game, I'd be like,
I'm like that too.
But I know when I was playing it, I absolutely loved it. I think I completed it twice. I always kept going. As long as I had like a PS2, I always kept going back to it and playing it. And yeah, it's games like that make me wish that I still had a PS2.
Yeah. I just remember that game, even when I play it now, like, it's not the hardest game in the world. It's fairly easy, which I like, because you can kind of just go through missions and missions. And there was a lot to do in that game. Open world game again. I just love that open world, and it had that Simpsons feel that you just loved as a kid. I mean, did you ever play the Simpsons game that came out like 3 or 4 years after that?
No, I don't think so.
I did, and it was like they tried to like not replicate the feel of Hit and Run, but in that vein of stuff, and it just wasn't quite there. It was still fun, but Hit and Run was where it was at. Other than that, PS2 wise, or that era, Xbox, GameCube, what's some games that come to your head that you're like, I just remember spending a lot of time on those games, other than the ones we talked about?
Time Splitters. Played
yes.
a lot of Time Splitters. Had number 2 and 3. I wasn't number 3. It was definitely 2 and 3 that I had, and I put a lot of time into that on the GameCube when they were on there. Final Fantasy X. A ridiculous amount of hours in that game. Jesus Christ. You name a football game, I had it. Played a lot of those.
Well, considering where you're from, I would imagine that you'd have a lot of them.
That was a given. Halo, of course.
I was never a Halo guy, because I was never
the OG Xbox. Halo 1. Halo 1, actually, I didn't actually and to this day, I still don't like Halo because funny old thing, they remastered Halo and brought that out of the Master Chief Collection, and I revisited Halo 1 thinking I'm older now, so maybe I'll enjoy it. And I remember playing that game, and for some reason my blood was boiling like through a lot of it, and I was like, why am I so angry playing this game? It was just, I don't know. Everyone loves it and say, oh, that's my favorite Halo game. I just don't get it. I don't see it. But then you play Halo 2 and you're like, here we go. This is my jam. This is where I'm at.
I don't think I've ever played Halo in my entire life.
It's a good game. It's a good game.
I've never played it. I was more of a Call of Duty guy, so I don't know. But
I did like Call of Duty as well.
Yeah, I like
any first-person shooter. Chances are I had it.
I'm terrible at first-person shooters even to this day, but I like them a lot. But oh man, like I have a lot of memories of like having well, I mean, when Mario came into my life a little bit later in life, when I actually got a 64 and then got a GameCube, and even, I mean, I have a lot of fun memories of getting a Nintendo Wii as well because they're just fun. Wii Sports, I mean, who could not love Wii Sports? You had to be a pretty sick bitch if you didn't like Wii Sports. But Mario is such like I use this word quite a bit, but an iconic character when it comes to video games just because it's Mario. Mario Kart is a game that I love, but I'm such a sore loser in that game. I don't lose at Mario Kart because I'll be that guy that turns the console off. Because I just don't lose at Mario Kart.
Oh, you are that guy.
I'm that guy. I get, like, you've never seen... Like, I'm a pretty chill guy when it comes to video games for the most part. You put on Mario Kart and every bit of my competitiveness comes out. I'm a horrible human being. Like, I may as well be a serial killer. That's how bad I am. I call everybody in the room. I've asked my friends that have come over, had a few drinks, having a nice night, chuck on some Mario Kart. I've got to the point where I've asked them to leave my home. I'm not actually even joking. I've been like, it's time to go. Oh,
shit.
I'm that competitive when it comes to Mario Kart. No one's allowed to be Luigi, because Luigi's my home dog. I have to be Luigi. But Mario Kart memories. Surely, I mean, I think everyone would say yes, but you've played Mario Kart at some point in your life. Are you competitive when it comes to that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think it's more, and this is a lost art these days and has been for many years. I think I'm competitive with games when people are with me. So exactly the same as you. Like, you've got everyone around, you're all playing Mario Kart. We used to sit around and play Double Dash on the GameCube.
Yes.
Super Monkey Ball. We used to play Super Monkey Ball and just shit like that. Like, so competitive, and everyone would get so pissed off with each other. But online gaming, not so much, because it's just me sat in a room. And yes, I do get pissed off and angry, but I don't have anyone to feed that off of. So it's just me getting angry in a chair. And I'm just like, I'm getting angry for no reason here. Nobody's here to even see it or enjoy me fucking flipping out. So it's not as fun. But when everyone is around, or you have like FIFA tournaments, or like you said, get everyone around for Mario Kart, like that is when I'm competitive, and that is when I get pissed off, because I've done sorry, my foot turned off the PS2. Did it turn off the PS2, you absolute dick? But we've all done it. Yeah. We've definitely all done it. I haven't done it in years because I can't even remember the last time I had somebody around to play video games with me.
It's such a lost art, because everyone's just like,
it really is
online, and it's like it's fun, but it's not the same. It's just not the same. But Mario Party is another one that I'm not as competitive in, but I just miss those like gatherings of people just to play something, or just I guess human to human connection is kind of not as like a thing in this day and age as it used to be. Maybe we're just getting old, but I don't know. But Mario Party is another one that I have a lot of memories of when I actually had Mario and stuff like that. Who's your favorite Mario character, by the way?
Ooh, I've got a soft spot for Luigi.
See,
because
that's how I am. Luigi's my dude.
He's understood. No, misunderstood. Sorry. And
everyone gives all the attention to Mario.
Yeah, and he's got a great game as well.
Green's my favorite color too, so kind of just goes.
Mario.
Are you talking about Luigi's Mansion?
I am talking about Luigi's Mansion. What a game that is, by the way.
That is a good game. A lot of people have a lot of love for Yoshi, but I don't really like Yoshi that much. He can kind of go away. It's like, what are you? Are you a turtle? Are you a dinosaur? For sure. Did you have a Nintendo Wii?
I didn't own one, but I had friends that did. So I had a lot of playtime on Wii's.
Okay, I had a Wii because obviously the first ever game that come with the console was Shrek the Third. It was terrible.
What?
Shrek the Third and Wii Sports obviously was the the two games that come with the console, and just like I guess just the deal that I bought from some store. It was a bad game, but Wii Sports signed me up. I always liked to play tennis. Tennis was my go-to, and I'd just go like this with you can't see me, but I'm just waving back and forth. So they just go really fast, and you just like boom, 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 and you have these mad rallies with people with your little me character that you make, and it's just like the ugliest little thing ever. But all of those games on the Wii, like Super Mario Galaxy, oh man, I spent a lot of hours on that. Mario Kart on the Wii was fun too, just for the idea that you could use the wheel and like do that. But I was always a nunchuck guy. I like the nunchuck instead of the actual driving of the thing. But as you become, I was gonna say, a complete old man, which I mean,
whoa,
not far off, I guess. It's you're an Xbox guy, but we've had many conversations about video games that we play in today's landscape. We both are a lover of Rocket League. I mean, yes, Rocket League is a fantastic game.
And we even managed to play it together for
crossplay, guys.
15 minutes.
Crossplay is a real thing. I wish every game... I think we'll get to a point where every game is just crossplay, right? I mean, we're playing the same game anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it just... I don't know why it wasn't even a thing before. If you're dropping the same game on every console, then just allow it. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, Rocket League does it. I think Call of Duty does it now. There's a whole list of games that do it now, but Rocket League is a great game that I can just mindlessly play, I guess. Just put some music on and just play Rocket League. I like doing that. What's some other games that you're like... I know that you mentioned to me the other day when you commented that you want me to play some horror games on Josh Plays. I was like, maybe I can get out Until Dawn, because I'm a scaredy cat, but I like Until Dawn. I've played that through a few times, and I still get scared every time. But Until Dawn was one that I just remember loving, even though it was kind of... Jump scares get me. They make me fart. So I don't really... But that was just a really good game. I'd still laugh at fart noises. I don't even care. But yeah, Until Dawn. You said that you've played it. What did you think about... You like horror games, I'm assuming, then.
I do. I don't know why. I'm the kind of guy that gets a horror game, gets really excited about it, especially when I see like good reviews on it, and then I play it for like half an hour, get scared, and then don't play it for like a year.
Yeah.
I think. Well, obviously we talked about Resident Evil 2 earlier, but I think the first time I played it, it opens up. It's all dark. You're in a petrol station, zombies. Same shit. I remember playing it, and there's something like didn't really resonate with me and scared me, and because I was playing it, I always play horror games headphones on in the dark. It's just how I do it. It's just how I prefer to do it. Have an authentic experience. However, when I do that, I end up not touching the game again for months on it. And there's loads of games that are Outlast. I did that with. I'm currently doing that with Outlast 2. Haven't touched that for a while. The Resident Evil 7, still haven't completed that because I refuse to go back to it because of the jump scares. It's as if I have like one big scare and that's it. I don't go back.
I'm the opposite of you. I play all these games with every light in the near distance of me on, because I'm not getting scared. Until Dawn, I remember playing it with somebody for the first time and just like watching them play it with like a pillow, and I'm like, is there going to be a jump scare? Because I'm not fucking watching. I'm not getting scared. We played that in one night, by the way. The first time I ever watched that game be played through, me and my friend played that in one night. It took us like 10 hours. We just played it all night. We're crazy.
Yeah, because I play, again, like Spider-Man, and because obviously I don't have a PS4, I played that whilst I was at sea last year, and it took me 2 days to finish it. I remember going, huh? Is that it? But then obviously there's the whole, but you're only 2 characters survive, so you can go back and play it and like choose different things and see if you can make it. So I played it again, and I think
was
the
good.
thing that mugged me off, and the thing that I don't like about the PS4 controller was, and Until Dawn is the perfect fucking example of the reason I don't like this controller, is right at the very end. Spoiler alert to anybody fucking listening to this who hasn't played
Spoilers.
Until Dawn, but right at the very end when you need to keep that fucking controller still while
Bitch,
those
I put that
fucking
shit
things are in
down.
that room.
I put
I
that
was
shit
like,
down.
still didn't move, no movement whatsoever, and yet the sensor marker on the screen was going
Oh
as
yeah,
if I was as if I was going like,
because you
it
know
was
at
like,
the
what the
end
fuck's
when
going
it's
on?
like
I'm not moving.
you would have to not move it, and then there'd be a little scene, and then you'd have to not move it again. The first time I played that through, the only thing that I wanted to do was keep Hayden Panettiere alive. Because I love Hayden Panettiere. I used to watch Nashville. It's a great show. She was also in like Racing Stripes. And I was like, that girl's fit. I like her. So I was like, I'm gonna keep her alive. All I wanted to do was kill that other girl, that annoying one that was with Matt, with the black short hair. Can't think of her name. I can't think of her name, but you know who I'm talking about. The really annoying one that just whined the whole time. When she was in that building and it fell down, it was on fire, and I thought she was dead, I was so fucking happy. I'm like, mission accomplished. I'm doing well. And then when she's down there and you're like, fuck me, she's still alive. I'm like, are you kidding me? Why are you still alive? Every time you thought she was dead, she would like pop back up and you're like, oh. But my mission was just keep Hayden Panettiere alive. I didn't move for the first bit, and then I moved on the second, and that thing got her. I was like, oh my god, are you kidding me? Right at the end of the game. But that game was a roller coaster. Because I guess the idea, well, I guess not the idea of it, but I guess in your head you're like, I should probably keep everybody alive. That's kind of my mission. I know there is a way to do it, but I played it 3 or 4 times, and I still haven't been able to keep everybody alive, no matter what I do. But except for that annoying one. As soon as I see her, I'm like, something get her. Can she fall? I just don't like her. But yeah, I'm just that game was just like less playing, more watching. You know what I mean? Like you didn't really. It's not very like difficult. Like it's not hard to play. Like it's just moving and pressing a button essentially. But I just really remember loving that game, even though it was on the jump scare scale. But other games that I mean would be silly in these latter part of the show not to talk about wrestling games, because I'm sure you've have many memories of playing wrestling games throughout your life. I mean, I do. Like I said, first ever game I ever remember playing is War Zone. I owned ECW Hardcore Revolution, which was essentially the same game, but ECW people, again, still don't know how to play it. WCW Backstage Assault. I don't know if you ever played that, but it was fucking bad. Okay?
I've seen it.
It's
I've
bad.
seen it.
For anyone that doesn't know what WCW Backstage Assault is, look it up on YouTube. It's literally in the title. Instead of wrestling in a ring, it's all backstage. And, oh man, it was not good at all. It was very hard. But I still have that somewhere on PlayStation 1. But I mean, PS1 gaming, like WWF SmackDown, I'm sure you probably own SmackDown 1 and SmackDown 2, or you've played them at least.
The first SmackDown may very well be the first game I had on the PS1, you know?
Yeah,
so
I mean,
I know you're all had that, definitely had that. I think every SmackDown game up until SmackDown versus Raw 2008, maybe, I had them all.
Cool.
Religiously had them.
PS2 gaming is where it's at. Just Bring It. I mean, I have a lot of happy memories of Just Bring It, mainly for the commentary, because it's just the worst.
The last ride.
Diving Moonson. Lita has a nice diving moonsault. Favorite thing. And who do you think you're talking to? Shut up. Taz has a great Taz mission. It was the best. I just remember just being, I can play that game now and just like wheeze. I'm like dying at that kind of stuff. Shut Your Mouth is always just one that I just love. Shut Your Mouth is probably my favorite wrestling game. It's not the best, but it's my favorite. I just love Shut Your Mouth because you could climb the SmackDown fist and you could jump off that thing and then they'll hit it and they'll do the big bouncy thing. But I think what wrestling games have lost is that I love simulation-based games because I like trying to recreate what I see on my television. However, it loses an element of fun when you do that because they don't want you to do stuff that isn't realistic. So I think we've lost an element of fun. But PS2-wise, you've played a lot of the SmackDown versus Raw games. You've played Shut Your Mouth. Here Comes the Pain is probably one you're going to bring up because
oh yes,
it's known as the best wrestling, well, one of the best wrestling games, along with No Mercy. But Here Comes the Pain. Let's talk about that. Why do you think that game gets so much love, as much love as it does? I know it's very good, but what is so great about it?
You touched on it actually with the whole simulation and the arcadey side of it. I guess it's just a fun game to play. Like just everything from the story mode to did Here Comes the Pain have GM mode?
No, we didn't get that until about 06, I think. They had
I guess it would
mode.
make sense because it was SmackDown versus Raw, wasn't it? Yeah, season mode was great.
Create a pay-per-view they had and stuff in that game. What else did that? The creation stuff was just really fun in that game too. I think another thing is, with Here Comes the Pain and a lot of those old games is that I could give a control to anybody, any one of my friends, and you could just be like, you can just kind of figure it out. You don't really need to know the buttons. Like pretty self-explanatory. Now, if you give someone, you're like, okay, you got to press this button and this button to get this happen, and you got to do this to get this to happen, and then you got to activate this, and this person can't do this because it's an ability. Like in those games, it was just like, just go have fun and just enjoy the game. But yeah, back to what you were saying. Sorry to cut you off, but there is just a certain element of fun with Here Comes the Pain.
Yeah, and I think that's been lost in the last since 2K took over, to be honest, because like I said, I stopped around SmackDown vs. Raw 2008 and it still had that arcadey feel. And I've seen some of your Josh Play stuff that you've done with the SmackDown vs. Raws after that, and it still seems to have that fun element.
Yeah.
But then I got I think you'll probably know what it is by the cover, but the first wrestling game I went back to after SVR 2008 was the one with CM Punk on the front, and I think it was 13. WWE 13.
Yeah, 13.
Yes. And I remember playing it, I was like, this isn't the SmackDown that I know.
I don't know, they were going through a weird change at that time. I love 13 because it had Attitude Era mode, and I love that mode. They did that really well. But to another thing is one of the biggest bugs in that game was that there was no 2 counts. If you remember about that game, if you were playing a computer, like an AI, they would kick out at 1, or they would kick out. They would go to 3. There was no 2 counts in the game. It was a massive bug within the game. But Attitude Era mode was like just wonderful. I loved Attitude Era mode. But that was when they were going through that transition. I feel like from like 12 to like when 2K took over at 14 is when they were really going through that transitional time of like, we're going to turn this into full-on simulation instead of having arcade. And now they've kind of evolved through the years to go, if you look at 2K20, yikes. I mean, they have a lot of like original stuff. I played it on Josh Plays and stuff like that. And it's like, this isn't the element of arcade or silliness that I was really looking for. Like, why do I want to play as Braun Strowman as Frankenstein? Like, that doesn't really appeal to me. It might appeal to some people, and I could just be talking out of my ass, but it doesn't really appeal to me. The fun I want is being able to pick up a game and just play it and have fun and do what I want in it. Because it's not like in the older games with like Here Comes the Pain or No Mercy especially. It's not that you couldn't have that simulation feel if you wanted that real fight feel. You could still do that to a certain degree, but there was the element of just going out there and doing stupid shit. Like you'd climb on top of the Hell in a Cell and just fall. Like I missed that. You'd bounce on everything, and it was like I missed that element of fun. But I think that they have lost it along the way, and they need to do something to fix it because this game is just broken, completely broken. Anyone that owns 2K20 will know what I'm talking about. While I still enjoy the game to a certain degree because I just love wrestling, I'm not enjoying the game because it's a good game. It's a bad game. That game crashes on me a lot. Like, I can't get through a Royal Rumble in that game without it crashing. Like, I just cannot do it. I was going to do something for Josh Plays over the week for Royal Rumble, and every time I went to record, every single time, it crashed. Like, that should not be happening. Like, give me my money back. Like,
how many? That was 2K19 was the last one I had, and even that one I haven't really played that much. But how many patches for 2K20 have they actually released to remedy this? Because it's bad.
there's been 4.
And it came out in what, October?
End of October it came out. There's been 4 patches. And each time the patch has broken something else. I'm not kidding. Like, this patch that last came out, so now if you hit someone with a move and they kick out, they sit up like the Undertaker and like levitate up before you even are done selling the fact that they kicked out a 2, and they just instantly attack you. And it's like, for fuck's sake. Like, how does that break that? Universe mode is Universe mode is at its essence when it first came out. I know you didn't own the game, but like 2011 I love that game. It's probably my second favorite wrestling game. 2011 and WWE 12, they had like a great universe mode where you could just do stuff and the universe would just move around you and you'd be able to have all these arcing stories and you'd be like, oh, it's fun to play just on your own. Now you play universe and like shit doesn't load. Rivalries don't work properly. They have like promos in the game now where it's like text-based promos. And every single time you put certain people in this like promos, they'll be having a promo and then by the end of it, someone else will just appear and they'll be in the promo. And you'll be like, what the fuck just happened? It's good for a laugh. And I think that's why I enjoy 2K20 and I can play it, is because I'm just like, I mean, what's going to go wrong today? Like, I can just have a laugh at it, especially with streaming and stuff like that. I'm an idiot. It works in my favor. However, if I just want to play that game, there's a reason I don't do, like, those simulations anymore of pay-per-views, is because I cannot record it without it just completely fucking dying on me. There's no point. I'd be sitting here for hours just trying to record the bitch. So there's a reason for that. But there has been an element of something. Something's gone incredibly fucking wrong in wrestling games. And honestly, I hope AEW release a video game like they promised they would, or they at least promised they would give us an update and never really did. I hope they bring out a wrestling game that brings back the fun of wrestling games. Because it's still possible. It's still possible.
Well, now that Ukes have kind of dodged, and it is a dodge away from 2K, hopefully that means we're going to have... Because I remember before they split from 2K, they did mention that, they had like a conference call and they said, whilst we were doing this conference, we were playing Here Comes the Pain, and they were enjoying like that fun aspect of it. Yep. And then, it came out that, they might be releasing this new game that's outside of the 2K umbrella. And I was like, well, they've just been playing Here Comes the Pain. Maybe something's triggered. They want to go back to the fun side. I got really excited. And then, of course, like a week or two later, split. Probably not a coincidence. So they are obviously working on something, and I'd be more inclined to buy the Ukes offering, even if it was like a no-name wrestling game. Too. It wasn't associated with WWE, AEW, New Japan, whatever. It was just a wrestling game. I would lean towards that than anything that 2K or Visual Concepts put out, because like you, the last couple of games, like 2K19, like what's the mode? The tower mode?
Yeah, that was fun.
I enjoyed that. Like, I really enjoyed that.
Listen, you can say anything bad you want about 2K19. I would buy 60 of those games right now because it's just like, at least that game fucking works. Okay, at least that game works. I wish there was a way I could just take the roster from 2K20 and put it into 2K19 and I'd be a happy boy. At least I could do what I wanted to do without it breaking. I'm not even kidding to you. Not the last time I played 2K20, the time before, I just wanted to play some universe mode. Nothing crazy, no fancy custom shit, just play through it. It crashed 6 times in 25 minutes.
That's bad.
25 really minutes. Bad. And it's just like, my God, my patience level must have been just tolerable that day, because that's bad. And it's like they're just taking your money and just rubbing their ass on it. Honestly, and that's coming from a fan of wrestling and wrestling games. Like, I'm a very optimistic person when it comes to things like it can get better. And while it has with some things, it's just digressed so much in other things. But I'm like you. I hope we get back to that fun aspect of wrestling games, because it can be done. Did you ever play All Stars? I'd be stupid not to mention that.
Yeah, the absolutely ridiculously over the top wrestling game. Yes, I did, and that was a lot of fun as well.
Yep,
that kind of goes under the radar.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't get as much as the love as it should, because it's just completely over the top, silliness that I just love. If you're gonna, dive into that role, let's dive right into that and make it just super over the top. I wish there was another one of those because I would pay money to have that. I still play that on my 360. I love that game. Anything else that comes to your brain as we're wrapping up that you're like, I need to talk about this game because I played it a lot, or what you're playing now? Anything else you want to mention?
So I think that it was more of a fad at the time, and then it had a bit of a resurgence three years ago, I think it was. But I think if we're talking about video games and then the social aspect of it, because I was going to bring it up earlier and then we moved past, but I'm glad you allowed me this time to bring it up because I'm curious to see if you played it.
Of course.
Of course. Guitar Heroes and Rock Bands.
I had that on my brain
Where do you stand on music, instrumental peripherals, and
sign me the fuck up.
That shit. Yes.
Sign me the fuck up. I had the original Guitar Hero that you plugged into your PS2. And you could stand not very far away from it. Horrible at it. To this day I still can't play past medium because my fingers wouldn't allow me to get to the orange button on the guitar, so I'd have to move it and then I'd have to look where I'm not musically inclined at all, by the way. I just have to let everybody know. I've tried to play guitar, except for piano. I can kind of play piano. The guitar though, I'm like this misshapen, I look like fucking Captain Hook. I'm not doing well. But sign me up, especially when they got Guitar Hero World Tour when it came out with the drums, and then Rock Band and that started on the other side of things. But oh man, so much fun with those games. Hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because the when Rock Band was, because that was the first band game that they were bringing out, because I think World Tour came out like a year or two later.
Yeah, it must have been.
When that was, because we at this point I was playing Guitar Hero 2 religiously. I was on expert. I was loving life. It's so good. I used to just if I get home from school and I would put that on, and then I'd be taking pictures and sending them to friends who were also playing it to beat their high scores, because it wasn't an online game. And then Rock Band came out, and then I remember sat in IT around a couple of computers, and me and my best mate, who has one of the greatest names of all time, Percival Donald McDonald.
Holy fucking shit! Get him on here. Why am I talking to you?
That is a name that
get out of here.
That is a name that exists. I don't even know what he's doing these days, but he was my best friend back then.
Being fucking awesome, probably. That's what he's probably doing.
Great guy. And we were looking at the set list for the first Rock Band, and we were all like, this is amazing. Me and him were big Guitar Hero guys. But we were looking at the set list and going we should buy this game. And we ended up pooling our money together to buy this game. And we set up the hub in his mum's living room. So we had the drums, the guitar. I had the spare. I used the Guitar Hero 2 Explorer guitar. Oh. And then of course, I had the microphone as well. And then it was us two. I was always guitar. He was always he was the singer. And then we'd have we'd just rotate around the guys on the drums and the bass. So we'd get random people in and go, oh, you want to come and play drums? And we'd all pick a song that everyone had. Percy would sing every song bar one. We all had our own songs. So I used to sing When You Were Young, The Killers. Oh, and then my mate Ryan would sing Learn to Fly, Foo Fighters, all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, Rock Band 2 came out and then escalated even more because there was even more songs on there, and you could start to buy songs. And they had this never-ending set list where you play from start all the way to finish, and you cannot stop or anything until it's done. And me and my mate Percy, he sang, I was on guitar. We played that thing for fucking, I kid you not, at least 10, 11 hours before we kind of went, we're out, we're done. And I think that was more because we hit a song that I think it's a terrible fucking song. And I remember it was a new Guns N' Roses track, which was Axl Rose, but not Slash or any of the good guys. And
I'm already out.
It was shit. And the opening guitar lick to it was terrible, but it was also really hard. And I just couldn't, no matter how much I fucking was into it, I couldn't do it. And then we just went, we're going to have to knock it on the head. But 10, 11 hours into that fucking thing. Yeah. It was ridiculous.
The amount of hours that I spent, even just on little old medium, playing Through the Fire and the Flames by Dragon Force.
Oh, yes.
Game. Oh, boy. I would just put it on the no fail mode and put it on expert. just seeing how you would fucking manage to do this, and it was just like, and you're like, fuck that. But I mean,
And
the
people
amount
do.
of hours. Yeah, I know. I've seen people do it. I've seen people do it with the like that mode where you don't see the colors, like they just know it. But man, oh man, I spent a lot of hours on Guitar Hero and Rock Band. Did you ever play DJ Hero?
No, that's one that I always
I
wanted to
did.
play, but it escaped me.
Oh, it was fun. It was harder in a sense. But they had great like mashups of songs within it, and there was two. I think there was only two. All I remember is I had the white DJ board thing. DJ board? What do you call it? DJ
Dex?
deck? Yeah, deck. There you go.
Yeah, deck.
I'm hip. Yeah, a deck. And I had the white
The
one, and
plank.
yeah. Oh god.
The DJ plank.
the DJ thing. But yeah, it was just a lot of. I had a lot of fun with those. But all of those, I like those games. When they brought out Rock Band on like PlayStation 4, I bought that.
Yeah.
I bought that, and that was a lot of fun because you could download all those songs. Because I like, you know how I am musically. I'm genre crazy. I just listen to a bit of everything. So the fact that you could play Through the Fire and the Flames and then you could play Taylor Swift was something that was just very, to me, I was just like, yes, I want to play You Belong With Me and then play Through the Fire and the Flames in one set. Give me that. So yeah, but I was always okay at the guitar. Pretty decent at the drums. I was always pretty decent at the drums. And then as a kid, singing, I just was just owning at that. It was so easy though. As long as you just hit it in the right like octave, you're fine.
Yeah, you just go.
Slay. Yeah, and they'd be like, "You're doing fantastic, sweetie," and you're like, "I know." But yeah, I had a lot of hours on those games, especially since DLC has come into the thing, and you could buy those packs, and you'd be like, "Oh yes." I've
So
spent a
much
lot of
money.
money. Yeah,
Yeah.
so much money because it's like what, $2 a track or something like that. Well, Australian dollars. So like $2 a track, or you buy the pack for like $15 and you get like heaps of songs. And then it'll be like, fuck, I'm spending a lot of money on this, and I'll play it like, because I don't play it anymore to the sense of like I'm playing it every day, but like every few months I'll be like, Rock Band, I'm gonna turn you on, and then play it for an hour and then not play it again for months. So that's how I'd kind of go. But yeah, I had a lot of love for those games. I'm glad you did bring that up, because I did have it in my head and then we just zoomed on to other things. But yeah, they were like big staples of being a kid. Just
Yeah.
what's better than video games? Video games and music. Really can't get too much better. Unless they incorporated wrestling themes into that shit. Then that would be a game changer. I would spend a lot of hours on that. Did I just give someone an idea? Because feel free to take it and make it, because I'm not fussed. I don't even need any credit for it. Just give me a copy of the game. I would play that a lot. Wrestling themes on a Guitar Hero. That'd be a.
It probably if you could get like the PC version of it, I know that for a fact there are knockoff like GTAs. Jesus Christ, there are knockoff GTAs.
Well, they're bad.
But like knockoff like Guitar Heroes or rock bands where people could put in their own songs and they mod them all in. Like that's a thing that exists, that you just plug in your fucking USB Guitar Hero 2 controller, or you set up like your wireless ones that you have to your PC as a additional peripheral, and you could play those songs. I think it is definitely something that exists.
Oh man, I would spend a lot of time. Imagine playing "Burn My Light." That guitar solo in that song, I'd play a lot of that. Randy Orton hates it. I do not.
I don't know why.
My Time, Triple H's old theme. Deborah's theme, Jeff Jarrett's theme. I'd have a lot of fun with that theme. Deborah, that's Deborah's theme. Can we just put that out there? It's Deborah's song with her puppies.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Deborah's cookies. I would have liked to try them, even though they apparently tasted like shit.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not either,
to be honest.
I mean, for obvious reasons, but her song. I'd play that so much on that game. Oh my god. It'd be so fun. All right, Dits. Well, it's been fantastic talking to you again. Talking about something. Well, we still talked about wrestling because we're always going to talk about wrestling.
Naturally.
Of course, we'd end on Deborah. Who wouldn't? That sounds awful. Oh my god! I just thought of that Mind in the Gutter, and that sounded really bad. So what's going on with you? Have you got anything that you would like to promote, or anything coming up that you're like, this is something you should listen to? And where can people find you and all that good stuff?
Well, as for where people can find me, if you just hop on to Twitter or Instagram, just at Dits on Wrestling, that's where I am. Just original. Just put that in there and you'll find me. With regards to the actual podcast itself, if you have a podcast app, whether it be Apple Pod, Spotify, Stitcher, all that good stuff, again, type Dits on Wrestling and there I'll be. But as for what I'm doing now, obviously the Dits on Wrestling podcast made its return last week. It is a no fucks given podcast now, where I will literally sit in front of the microphone on recording day and go, what am I going to talk about? Unless I've got somebody coming on and I give them at least 2 days to like think of stuff to talk about, I will literally just sit in front of this mic and I will just spout off any shit that I feel like talking about. But rather fittingly, and something that I announced, so we're recording this on Sunday evening, my end, Monday afternoon for you.
It's just past. Yeah.
So today for me, well, actually, no, it's yesterday because it's 10 to 2 in the morning here.
I was going to say, it'd be early for you, so probably
Monday. So yesterday I did drop that, coming to my Dits on YouTube channel, I'm going to be doing a Dits on Gaming video cast, something I've not done before, something a little bit different. I don't know like how I'm gonna go about doing it, whether it's a weekly thing or a monthly thing. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. If people enjoy it, it probably will become a weekly thing. But it'll just be, I just want to talk about video games. Like, and if I'm not talking about wrestling, like the next place for me to feel comfortable talking about a subject is video games. Like, Jesus Christ, we've been talking for like at least an hour and a half. Yeah. So I can talk about video games even on my own when I'm not talking to anybody else. I can talk about video games till the cows come home. Like it's a passion of mine. It's something I wish I could do more of now. I wish I could stream, but the Mac that I have isn't powerful enough to do it, which is really annoying in this day and age. But there you go. So I thought, what's the next best thing? Podcast. And I thought, nah, I already have a podcast, don't have a video cast, so I'll do that. So that'll be coming out in the next couple of weeks, fingers crossed. I already have what I'm going to talk about first, but we'll see how that goes. I did also have another podcast in the midst, but that died a death. Exactly what you said at the very, very beginning. Like, there's always somebody else that does it, and I actually looked into it after I came up with the concept, create the logo, created everything, and then I looked and went, there's at least 4 other people that are doing this.
So how it always happens. It's just the nature of I think it's just because podcasts are so accessible to do. Really, essentially, anybody can do them. Essentially.
Yeah.
Really.
Like you used a Guitar Hero microphone.
I did for the first 20 episodes or so. I had a Guitar Hero microphone. Hey, it worked fucking well. If anyone wants to take that idea, use it. They actually are not a bad microphone to use. I guess they have to pick up somewhat clear of your voice. I don't know. But yeah, make sure to check out all of Dits' stuff because he is very good and he is very funny. So make sure you give him a follow and listen to his show. It drops every Sunday, Dits? Yes?
Correct.
Yes. So make sure you do that. You can follow me on Twitter. You know where to find me at this point. Josh Robertson 00, wherever you are in the world of social medias. I even have a Facebook if you're like 50 years old listening to this. Go through and like that. And make sure to check out all of my stuff that I do over on YouTube with Josh Plays, as well as Wrestling Reverb every single Friday and this show every single Tuesday. I'm not going to say what I have to promote, only for the fact that I haven't put it on Twitter yet, but it may be on Twitter by the time this show drops. fuck it. We'll just say it now as well, because I'm sure it'll be out by then. January 31st live on Twitch, we're going to be doing a live edition of Wrestling Reverb. Mania to Mania is back, and we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Instead of focusing on a particular person, we're going to be focusing on the tag team championships, me and Kevin, from WrestleMania 2000 to WrestleMania 17. Every single time that thing was defended, we're going to cover and see where the tag team title started at WrestleMania 2000 to where it ended at WrestleMania 17. Very prime time for tag team wrestling in WWE, or WWF at that time. Something that we can't really probably say right now, which Dits, you'll probably agree with me, tag team wrestling is not a focus in WWE anymore. Really at all.
And it's sad.
But in that time period, WrestleMania 2000 and WrestleMania 17, for obvious reasons, if you just do a little bit of a search, it was very much in its prime. There was a lot of love going on to the tag team titles, so that's what me and Kevin are going to focus on. So, January 31st, 9:30 Adelaide time. I believe it's 6 p.m. in the States on January 30th instead of 31st. So just, you'll see all the details you need to see on my Twitter. So go through and see that, because I'm sure it'll be out at this point. And if it's not out by any chance at this point, there's an exclusive little detail for you. It's our little secret for everybody. So yeah, enjoy that. It'll be a lot of fun, I'm sure. And I know you're going to hear me on Wrestling Reverb and that, but Dits, I'll say it to you right now. I hope we have a good Rumble season, because it's Rumble in a week time, and it's my favorite thing all year, is the Royal Rumble. I like the Rumble matches more than Mania. Just put in.
I'd actually agree with that, to be honest.
Not the whole Rumble
because...
event, but like the Rumble matches. A shit Rumble is still a Rumble. That's how I look at it.
I will accept it, because at least up until that 30 point,
you get to count.
Like, who's coming out? Who's coming out next?
And we get 2 of them now. That's the best thing about having a men and women's Royal Rumble. We get 60 different participants in these matches now, and I'm just like, you get a Rumble like towards the start of the pay-per-view, and then a Rumble right at the end, and you're like, these are both great. These are both just wonderful. So I'm excited. So this will be the last time I like talk to you through virtually that isn't text-based. That, again, I could have said that so differently. I hope your Royal Rumble predictions come true. If you want to, who would be your people that are winning the Rumble to send us off happy on this episode?
Shayna.
Agreed.
And Drew McIntyre.
Not agreed. But I wouldn't be mad. I'm going Shayna, because she's going to end Becky's story. She's going to put it asleep at Mania. So I'm saying Shayna. It's hard not to just spit out Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
It's hard not to. But if I'm going left of field for something a little different, I'm leaning towards what Kevin said last week on Wrestling Reverb. Kevin Owens.
So he's my second.
What about if Kevin Owens won? Because, I mean, there is other ways for Roman to get to Bray, to get to The Fiend. Roman's going to be in that title match at Mania. Bar none. I know that.
Yeah.
But there's other ways to do it. We still got Brock. What about if Brock just wins? Maybe Brock will just go the distance and he'll win. Don't think so.
I think wrestling Twitter would explode.
Oh yeah,
if that happened. Jesus Christ.
Nonetheless, no matter what happens, it'll be fun. It's Rumbles. We'll get away from that toxic world of Twitter while I'm watching it, I'm sure. Because like you said at the start of this episode, Twitter can be a little bit of a bitch sometimes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit people. We'll leave it at that. But anyway, rate this podcast 5 stars. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to leave a like and a subscribe on all that kind of stuff. Watch out for all the Josh Plays videos that I've got coming soon. I've got a lot in the archives that I'm just ready to release. It's just a matter of doing so. And listen to all my other stuff. Until then, please be kind to one another, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.